Welcome back to the Nero Show, your home of unfiltered cycling chat. Hopefully the chat you guys are having in your bunches. In today's episode, we are going to do some Fondo do's and don'ts, some insane prizes being given away in the UAE. Is cycling hurting your relationship? And what is motivating you to ride? Is it just your ego? All right, let's get into it.
So we were at Snowy Classic Gran Fondo on the weekend and
rediscovered my love for Fondos, by the way.
Enjoyed it?
Yep.
Yes.
Don't need off-road. Go on.
Mainly for the photos after. There's some cracking... You know when you go to an event and they've got a professional photographer and you go, yes, it's different. So while we were there, we did see a few displays, few rules broken, rules made, and we want to go through them. So Fondo do's and don'ts.
We have potentially broken these rules on multiple, if not all of them. I'm pretty sure I've done all of these in the past, so that does need to be mentioned. But my first one, okay, and this is something that you're there, you're at the Fondo. It's probably like a small town type thing that you're doing it in. With this particular one was in Jindabyne. And it's the shopping in your kit that does me. I just feel like that's an unnecessary display potentially. I know there's some practicalities around it that you might be on your way back to the place and all that kind of thing, but just slopping around in your kit after the... No.
I broke this one at Barrel Classic. I was there, took the shoes off, and I'm walking around in my socks through the Woolies in kit. And there's just the locals are just looking at your junk going, we don't need to see this. I'm going to have to agree with you on that one. Shopping in kit, ideally, bring a change of clothes, please. Spare the locals, the site.
Yep.
Similar thing. Okay, so following on from that, we got shopping in kit. I also think lingering in kit. I think we need to start a clock once you finish the event. And if you're any more than an hour after you've finished and you're still traipsing around in your kit, growing fungus on the chamois, I think you need to bring a spare change of clothes. Just bring a change of clothes, hide them somewhere, leave them in the car and swap them out.
It is hard though, because a lot of these Fondos, and this is one of the things that you like about them, is they do set up that kind of village after ride atmosphere. And clearly they're trying to contain you to keep you in that space, to kind of, spend your money on whoever the sponsor is of that particular event. I know this one, like Kosciuszko Beer was a big one. So they want you there. I get that. I think you've got an hour. Mm-hmm. I think you've got a legit hour after the event. Maybe you're waiting for a couple more of your mates to finish, have a beer or whatever it might be, then go back, just get out of that stuff. You've already put that gear through far too much moisture in areas that just doesn't need to be continually growing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Take the pro option, bring a change of clothes if you're going to be lingering, and just relax. Be comfortable. Be comfortable.
All right. Now, this is one that I have done. Now, I have a reason I do it, but I think it's completely unacceptable, and I will smack myself for doing it. But it is not running the front bib number that you're meant to put on your bike.
The frame number.
The frame number, yeah. But not like a frame number that you get in the tour where it's this beautiful little thing that you can put in behind the seat post. No, I'm talking about the big, sloppy, 8-digit, your number 6,442, and it's sort of meant to go under the handlebars and that kind of thing.
The big number plate.
The big number plate. You got to put it on. Yes, there are photos of me. I'm not running it. I will put my hand up and say this, that the reason I didn't do it is because I had the GoPro and I wanted to be able to be able to put it underneath the bike computer or on top of the bike computer. So I felt I was already overcomplicating the front end of my bike. I realize I'm just sort of
You can make all the excuses you want, but really,
unacceptable.
You're doing a Fondo, you got to run the numbers. Whether it's the helmet sticker or the big non-Aero front plate, it's not in the spirit of the event to not run it so you can save a couple of watts. I mean, because you can not run it. You're probably not going to get in trouble, but it's just not in the spirit of the event. What I did see some people doing and that I did is instead of just zip tying it onto the handlebars, you sort of wrap it around the head tube of the frame, a little bit more aero, but you're still running it. I think that's okay, if not a bit wankerish, because who cares if you lose 2 watts from the front number? But that's what I did. But yeah, you got to run it, Chris. That's just...
Yeah, and you also stitch yourself up, and I found this with the photos, because the way the photo thing works is it auto detects the number on your frame, and that's how it uploads. So you just search your name and your thing. And because I was such a douche and didn't run it, I'm having to message them and say, oh, I didn't actually have my number on it, so can you please send me on... Yeah. So yeah, all jokes aside, just put the front number on.
But in terms of the marginal gains, where are we on saddlebags?
Oh, now come on. You must run a saddlebag. You must run a saddlebag under any circumstances.
I've ummed and ahed many a time at a Fondo. Do I take the saddlebag off to save the sort of 500 grams in weight and just run the risk of getting a flat? Or do you run it? So on the weekend, I didn't run it. Now, I did run a GoPro. That's my excuse. But I have been known...
And he turned it on, just to let you know.
I did have it.
Turn it on.
Did remember to turn it on. And at previous Fondos, I have been known to not run the saddlebag and just risk the chance of getting a flat. And I will add, I have zero contingencies if I get a flat. I don't know what I will do. I have no spares. I have no plan of what to happen. So far in a Gran Fondo, when I've not run a saddlebag, I haven't gotten a flat. But I will call myself out. That's really poor behavior. Just run the saddlebag. It's sort of about fairness as well. If everyone sort of just runs the saddlebag, everyone's equally hampered by that. So, yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you and go against myself and say you should run the saddlebag.
It does come, and maybe we'll touch on this a bit later, but not all Fondos are created equal. Like, I do firmly believe that. Like, there are Fondos that are essentially very much just pure charity rides down the hill, and then there are some Fondos that will the ride on the weekend was probably one of the hardest bike rides I'll do all year. Like, it was just a full-on legit rip. And so, yeah, there is that kind of difference to the whole thing. All right, so, yeah, for me, saddlebags 100%. Though I will say, right, so I have seen one of the riders that you coach, who will remain nameless, I should say, in a previous Fondo, no saddlebag, and a friend of his who was running a saddlebag gave him his wheel because he had nothing, got him back on the road, and his mate then fixed the said puncture to use on his bike and got him. So totally stitched himself up. Like, this is mateship that I've never seen. I have no friends like this. I have no friends, but I have no friends like this. It's amazing.
I definitely wouldn't be giving you anything. I'd be laughing and riding off hard. Dickhead didn't put a saddlebag on.
Knowing you wouldn't have even noticed. Where's Miller? Dropped. Right, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, what a friend. Yeah, see, that's not on, is it? Don't bring a saddlebag, then you're roping your friend into your own mistakes. Not cool. Carrying on then in terms of the marginal gains, because there's other ones here that so we're not really sure. Aero socks. Running Aero socks in a Gran Fondo to save a few watts, yes or no?
Well, it's no, but it also brings up the question of Aero at a Fondo. Yes or no? Because I think
that was
do you like that?
Spitting bars.
There's the name of there's the title of the show today. So Aero helmets. Are we running skin suits? May have done that in the past. Aero socks. Aero. We saw Aero like arm warmers on the weekend. It's an interesting one. But then you can sort of turn around and say, well, hang on, you're running 50 mil wheels. Like, what are you talking about? So, yeah.
There's something to me that's really grating about seeing Aero socks. I just run cotton socks. It's not saving you that many watts. It's not that important. It's just the look of it. I'm sorry, don't really have a leg to stand on. I just don't like the look of it, and that's me. And I don't want to see Aero socks at a Fondo, even though I have done it in the past. So again, it's totally
We've done all of these in the past, yes.
But I admit my mistakes, and I will not be running Aero socks.
What about external support? So at a lot of these events, you will have like designated rest stops that will be sort of manned by volunteers, etc. And you'll have to, normally the way that would work is you would have to get off your bike, go in, fill your water bottles up, etc., get your gummy bears from whoever was there, then get back on your bike, blah, blah, blah. We saw this a little bit on the weekend of people situated outside of those particular rest stops, family members, mates, who were there to hand out bottles to said riders. Now, my initial feeling to this was I don't like it, but I've potentially softened on it. I have softened on it. Like, I'm just putting myself in the position of those people. Let's say your family has come down, then maybe they do just want to help out on the side of the road and do that and make your day better. I'm gonna do a proper GCN here, and I'm just gonna sit on the fence. I'm GCNing this one.
Okay. I'm going to say I actually don't mind. It's kind of not in the spirit of the event, but if you've got a partner that's willing to stand in the freezing cold on the side of the road to hand you a bottle, fair play. I don't mind. As I was riding past, it didn't bug me. When I looked at a pair of Aero socks, it did bug me. So I'm going to have to go just instinct on this one. I don't mind the handoffs.
So my initial thought for not liking it was because we carried extra bottles. So we packed bottles into our jersey pockets to sort of, I suppose, overcome that thing. So that was my initial gut reaction, was like, oh, they're getting people to help them. But then now, I've kind of put myself more in their shoes, and that could be me in a couple of years, like somehow convincing Liz and the kids to come down. Maybe they would want to stand on the side of the road and do that.
Cheer on Dad?
Yeah.
So what about then, along the lines of sort of tricks to make you go faster, what about purposefully not stopping at the feed zone? So our essentially fueling plan for the event was all contingent on not stopping at all. So we carried a spare bottle in our back pockets, and we're going through start to finish not stopping. Are both of us potentially in the wrong? Like, is that not in the spirit of a Fondo to just blast through every single feed zone? Thoughts?
This is a massive rabbit hole, Jesse. This is an ether, and I reckon Gravel's going to go through this soon as well, because Gravel was like, oh, every man's sport, we're just chilled, we're all together, we're all a community, and now Dylan Johnson's releasing videos on how Aero his hydration pack is. So I reckon there would be okay. Let's think about it. Like the other people that did this, and they looked at us and went, oh, those guys didn't stop. What wankers, they're taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
That's, I don't have a defense. Maybe they are right. We're not impacting their day out, but have we turned it? I hear what you're saying. Have we turned this into something it shouldn't be?
It's like almost a little bit of like taking advantage by being a little more prepared than the next guy, which isn't technically, I don't think, in the spirit of a Gran Fondo. It's to be hyper prepared so you can just not stop. So, I like not stopping, but potentially just saying.
But under that argument, the guy who puts the kids on the side of the road to feed him would also be taking it too seriously.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not against, because I know some of the events in the US, they force you to check in. So you actually you physically do have to get off your bike, go to said like desk and be like, right, Chris Miller has arrived, tick.
Oh.
And then you continue on. And I know they do that in the UK as well sometimes. So that forces you off the bike. Yep. I'm not against that. So
borderline, because our race was 5 hours. If you're getting to 6 and you're blasting through the feed zones, I think potentially you're pushing it a bit far.
I'm interested in your thoughts on this one. Definitely. We're going to keep going on this, but that one, let us know. Are we taking it too seriously? Yeah. Well, seriously is the right word? Yeah, maybe. All right, just quickly on the rest stop type thing then.
Yep.
The dynamic of the rest stop. What about waiting on a mate? So let me set the scenario. You have done it, you're doing it with a group, 3 or 4 guys, 3 or 4 girls. One of the guys gets sort of tailed off at some point, not far off. You get to the rest stop, you do your stuff, you get your banana, you fill your water bottles, you're just about jumping back on the bike, and in that time, your mate's caught up, and he's like, oh, hang on, Jesse, just give me a sec, I'll leave with you guys. And then you're waiting with the other guys, but he got dropped anyway. Like, where's this play out?
I think prior agreement needs to be in writing. What's the rest stop waiting for a mate clause? Just agree to it beforehand. Yes, we're all going to wait. We're going to stay together as a group, or fastest time, keep pressing on. I mean, how frustrating for the person that keeps having to wait, because they're essentially doing more work for the same time as the mate. So I think just agree to beforehand what the rules are. I don't really see either way. What do you reckon?
Well, I know what we do, and that's basically try and drop each other the whole time. So there would be certainly no waiting at any. In fact, no. And I think most people would be like that. Most groups of people that do this would have a little bit of kind of competitiveness about them, and they want to be the top dog in the group. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's natural selection out there. It's natural selection.
Couple more. Sitting on the top tube on descents. Yes or no?
I'm for it.
Yep.
I'm for it. It's like I feel like it's not even the performance thing. I kind of feel like it's a bit of an up yours for the UCI. Almost every time I get down and do it in a Fondo, I'm like, so what? Who's going to stop me? I just sort of feel like it's kind of fun to do it, and you go faster. It is kind of fun.
Same.
You?
I love it.
Yep.
Totally fun. Never get to do it in an actual race, so you get to do it in a Fondo. Go for it. Go mad. Go nuts.
Yep. Okay, what about kit dumping?
Ooh.
So the kit dump, let me play this out, is that there's variable weather conditions. Maybe it was kind of cold for the first half, second half it warms up, and you do the old-fashioned take the jacket off, the leg warmers off, and just kind of chuck it with the theory, obviously, that you will go back after the event and pick it up. Now, I know you have done this.
I've done this before. Yes, I have. I've done it. I'm not really for it. To me, this is in the too try hard basket. Just if you start with something and you want to be warm, you got to carry it. If you want to risk it and freeze your tits off in the first hour, you get the benefit of not having to carry that jacket around in the second half. So I'm going to say no kit dumping. Not for it.
I totally agree. I think part of the skill of the Fondo, right? The skill of, and we talked about this last week, 4 or 5 days before the event, we're talking, what are we going to wear? Right? And it was the topic of conversation amongst us, amongst the people messaging me, amongst other people I knew going down there. It was the only thing people wanted to talk about. What are you riding? And I even mentioned it in my Instagram post about I had a really good day out, but I nailed my kit selection. It is an integral part of the whole Fondo experience. And yeah, I think no kit dump.
Yep.
No kit dump. You got to run it.
We can agree on that one.
All right, guys, let us know down below your Fondo do's and don'ts. And when have you nailed your kit selection? Not just like when it's been hot, but like when I'm talking like real sort of not sure about the temperature, have you nailed your kit selection? All right, a couple of weeks ago, we talked a little bit about wasting money on the bike, trying to save money, etc., which got me thinking a bit about wasting the cachet you have in your relationship, okay? Because let's be honest, cycling can have it certainly has a time impact on your relationship. And I feel like some people including myself, make some silly decisions when it comes to cycling that just impacts their relationship a bit more than it needs to. I think I've explained that okay.
Yeah.
So here's one I was thinking about, all right? So you've got a Fondo, you're doing a Fondo on a Saturday. How about going down to the event on the Thursday or the Wednesday? I feel like that impacts your week too much, and in impacting your week too much is taking you away from your family, your relationship for too long, and therefore ruining some cachet you could have earned. It's a much bigger chunk of your week than it should have been.
What about the day after? So Snowy Classic was on a Saturday. What would you think is the optimal go down, come back scenario?
So for me, it's a Friday departure, and ideally you're coming back Saturday after the event, or not lingering around on the Sunday. You're just coming back and getting back Sunday sort of lunchtime type thing. So you're back in and around the family for at least a good chunk of that afternoon. It's a balance. I get that because, a lot of the time you're spending a lot of money to go to these events. So it's a bit like, well, why would I spend all this money and then just like fly in, fly out and not enjoy any of the experience? But I'm just talking about if right? If that event is, she's going down to, she's going to go down and do that bloody thing that weekend. Oh, God. I'm going to have to do all this by myself and blah, 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 blah. If that's the chat, then just make it a faster in and out,
Yeah, definitely agree. What about this? Okay. There's this thing where someone's training, let's say they're consistently training 14 hours a week, for example, and it's kind of draining on the relationship. And your partner's probably thinking, is this what I've signed up for? Is this it? Is this my life now? What's probably an easier sell is just to dial in and dial back the training. So you say to your partner, hey, a big event coming up for the next 6 weeks. I'm going to be a bit useless, but I'm fully committing. And then for the month after that, I'm going to cut it back. I'm going to do 6 hours a week, and we're going to go out on Friday night. We're going to do whatever Sunday morning, and just be a bit more polarized with when you're training for an event and then really forcing yourself to pull back, which is actually the hardest bit, is the pullback post-event to give some time back to your partner. And I think a lot of people don't do that. They're sort of just chronically training and riding the same amount. So it's just a constant drain on the relationship. So just to being a bit more varied with that probably is an easier sell to your partner. So they know you're going to be a bit useless and they know they're going to get some time back when it's finished.
Yeah, I like that one. Recovery days. Now, okay, I don't do them. Yep. I don't do them. But I think one of the stupidest ones from a relationship perspective, I've seen this a few times, is you've convinced your partner that, I shouldn't say convinced, but you know what I mean, right?
Most of the time.
You have brought your bike on a holiday.
Yep.
Okay? So there's already a given there that you're going to take a couple of hours every couple of days, maybe every day, to go for a bit of a bike ride. All right? In that particular circumstance, a recovery day on the bike, like physically putting your kid on, noodling around for an hour to a coffee shop or whatever it is and coming back, is such a waste of cachet. Such an incredible waste of cachet. It's not physically doing any good to you. And again, you're just leaving them for this like pointless operation. So recovery days, specifically on a holiday, are a dead set out for me.
100% agree. If you're under a bit of pressure in a relationship, you're going and recovery riding, what an absolute waste of time. I mean, especially because if you're just wanting to do a bit of active recovery on a day, you could actually flip that on its head, go take your partner for a bushwalk or something, and you score some points back at least. So yeah, I totally agree.
I know you've talked about this one a little bit in the past, and I'll just keep it really short, but that podcast ride that you mentioned the other week about just the Sunday, you later in the day type ride is your kind of favourite day. I actually think that's really valuable from a relationship perspective under certain circumstances, because again, it not only helps the Sunday, but it helps the Saturday night. Because instead of the Saturday night being the kind of, oh, I'm filling my water bottles up, I've got to get my breakfast out for the morning ride, and it's probably quite a hard ride. It could be a race, could be a crit or something like that, that you just forget about it. Bikes just aren't mentioned on Saturday night. They're not a thing. Mm-hmm. Bikes aren't even discussed on Sunday morning. They're not even a thing. And then as things quieten down in the afternoon, you pop out. Mm-hmm. I'd really love that one.
Definitely. Oh, you've brought up a good point. Like this sort of the creeping in of the preparation the day before is almost just as bad as the actual ride itself, because you've got, like if it's a Saturday night, maybe you're going out for dinner. Okay, we're going to talk about, we're going to get so much shit for saying this, but like maybe I shouldn't have a couple of drinks because I got the ride the next morning, but it might be a bit more fun if you had a couple drinks. So maybe you probably would enjoy your Saturday night more if you didn't have that Sunday morning ride. And that's not just the time away, it's the impact that could have the night before, which the afternoon ride solves completely. So not that we're encouraging drinking, because that seems to be like the golden goose on YouTube is not drinking. But anyway, let's not go
down that rabbit hole. If this is said at your Saturday night dinner, right? Okay, let's use alcohol as an example, all right? But are you drinking this evening, Jesse? Will you be having a beer this evening, Jesse?
Oh, I'm right, thanks. Yeah, I got to ride.
So no, don't say that.
Okay,
just say no, I'm right, thanks. And then your partner turns to the other people there and says, no, Jesse's riding tomorrow. If that is said, you're not riding tomorrow. All right, just. It's little things like that you just don't need in your life.
God, shoot me. So just a real random one. I've seen two separate occasions of insane prize money for events coming out of the Persian Gulf from the UAE. So we've got, first one was the winner of the Abu Dhabi Grand Fondo, which was earlier in the year. The prize money for winning that Grand Fondo, 120,000 Australian dollars. And very generous, even stepping down from that. I think it was like 120, 70, 50, all the way down to 30th. Like even 20th place was still getting a couple of $1,000 for a Gran Fondo. And that's one of the ones that is part of the UCI series. It's like a legit Gran Fondo.
Be wearing Aero socks in that.
You bloody would. Well, it was flat as well. So there's that factor. I don't think, like, what are we missing here? Why did we not go and fly over and do that? And it's just so much money. So the person that won it was Gregor Bowl. So he's an ex-pro. Some of you probably recognize his name. So he won. He lives in Dubai. So strong rider. But then going down the list, it's no one else I recognized. So I'm not sure how strong the field was. And there was another weird thing that was going on there where he was listed as part of a local team. And there was a few other riders on that team that I recognized. So Koen Vermeltvoort, who rides for Volker Wessel's Continental team over in Europe. He's a Dutch guy. And then Ivar Slick was there, also riding on the same team, winner of Unbound. So I'm not sure what's going on, but there's something there where it looks like Gregor Bowl is potentially ringing up his mates. Now, those two aren't eligible for prize
so I was about to put my hand up and ask this.
So I will say those two aren't eligible for prize money because if you're a Conti rider or you're registered on a Conti team in the 2 years prior to the event, you're not eligible for prize money. So they're not getting anything there. But what I think's potentially going on here is Gregor Bowl, local guy, he's eligible for prize money because he hasn't been pro for years. He calls up his strong as hell mates and forms a team. They rock up, they win, plenty of cash, and they split the prize money against them. It's brilliant. It's a stroke of genius. So yeah, huge prize money at that event. And I'm thinking, can we get to this next year? Like, it's...
Jesus.
I don't know if there's some rule that excludes foreigners from prize money or something, but looks too good to be true. So then the other one that's popped up, prize money, My Whoosh has their championships coming up at end of April, start of May. $1 million total prize pool, evenly split across men and women. Let me bring up the actual prize money you can win.
Did you say $1 million?
Million
no.
US. Okay. So in the category 1, if you win the overall, $10,000. If your team, so you pretty much just get to self-select a team. If your team wins category 1, $42,000 for the overall. So you win individual GC, you win the teams class, and a couple of stages along the way. Each stage is $1,000. I mean, you could be splitting 60, 70, 80 US dollars amongst 3 or 4 guys in your team.
$1,000,
It's nuts. And that's prize money is for Cat 1, but it's also very generous. There's 4 categories all the way down there. So I'm thinking like, do I need to get the trainer set up again and have a crack? It's crazy money.
There's a little bit going on there, isn't there? Like, it's funny. We were talking the other day about like, we should pack the show up, go somewhere, sort of meet and greet some people. Where would be some great value for the show? Right, the Middle East. I reckon that's seemingly where it's all happening. Though, can I just quickly? So that event that you were talking about was officially termed a Grand Fondo. We got to do something about these naming, right? This whole like the naming philosophy of what's going on in cycling, because that's a Grand Fondo with like a massive prize pool and, you know, essentially pro riders at it competing properly as they should be. And then like what we did on the weekend was also a Grand Fondo where we're saying don't ride in Aero socks. And then there's events that slop around at the Tour Down Under. There's the Booper ride, which is like, it's a charity ride at 25 Ks an hour, which is also called a Grand Fondo. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, in Italy and in France, the Grand Fondo scene is like a semi-professional league almost. Like it's a proper thing. Whereas over here it's not quite the same. Definitely. So I don't know what we
need a name. We need a new name. Yeah. We need a new name. I know.
Are we doing more? Would you consider what we're doing more sportive?
Yes.
Not really a Grand Fondo?
Yes. Yeah. I think that, so in the UK, they're big with the sportif name, and I think that's where we should head here, definitely.
So, Chris, can you put up a bit of rear GoPro footage from the Snowy Classic? Because this
is just
the audience needs to know pig rooting, because there was some pig rooting action going on. So, for those that don't know what pig rooting is, let me explain. There's a few parts to it. First part is the grip on the handlebars. It's not your standard grabbing of the hoods. There's an out-turning of the wrists and an out-turning of the elbows, part 1. Part 2, you're in the box and you're sliding a bit further forward on the saddle. Part 3 is a jerky motion of the pedal stroke and the bike's coming back and forth, the result of which is what can only be described as a pig rooting. And it's this sort of action. And so we can put the GoPro footage up. But Chris was hitting the pig route.
It's an
big
optical illusion.
time.
Optical illusion.
Very sharp.
It must have been the frame rate was out, I think, and it just was like skipping as I was pedaling. Because I have a very smooth pedaling stroke. I don't know what you're talking about. It's horrendous, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's maybe it's not just me. I've seen other people do it, but pros never do it.
No.
Like even when they blow or they're on the limit, they never pig route.
No.
And like, it's just, yeah, it's just, I don't know why.
I'll say there's a bit of a Zwift indoor rider sort of action.
Well, that
to
doesn't
it.
explain me, but
Doesn't
yes.
explain you, but it is a common amongst the indoor community. Also, potential mountain biker influence. There's a bit of you're a bit further forward and you're kind of over the front, that sort of action. So there's a bit of mountain biking to it. But yeah, just for those that aren't aware of what pig routing is, you have now been informed.
It's just horrendous.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like you think of yourself even when you're on the limit or something, you're this sort of athlete, and then you see vision of it, and it's not attractive. I don't know. Yeah.
Where did that one come from? I think that must have been a trip up the Hume Highway with a van full of NRS riders one day.
The official pig route. No.
No?
So the birth of the pig route was 2020 team camp when we did a Barangary smash, and there was a selection after about a kilometre of Dylan, myself, Jay, Ben Carmen, and I'm hanging on there at the back, and then after a K, this thing begins to happen on the fourth rider, which is me. And yeah, the camera, Luke, I think, was videoing at the time, and it just sort of zeroed in on me, and it was particularly unattractive. And then you've got sort of Vine up in front spinning 100 RPM cadence, just doing his thing, riding away. So, and it was so obvious. The difference right there was just this thing occurring and this other.
Actually, I think that's what kicked off your craze of changing your position on the bike. There was quite
I've
a few
always-
bike fits that came from that. Because that was a bit of an existential crisis. You had, you're like, sheesh, that ain't pretty. Something needs to be done here.
That's been that's been there since day one. It's never been a fitness thing. It's always been bike fit.
Oh, yes,
It's
okay.
just, still haven't got it right, Jesse. Still haven't got it right. Yeah, it's not attractive. Do your pig route. Let us know down below.
Tag a pig router.
Tag a pig router. So I rode a pro team kit the other day, the day after Tadej won. This is your pro team. This is your pro cycling update. Tadej Pogacar won Tour of Flanders.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, good on him.
There you go. And so I decided the day after to ride a UAE kit because I have one. Okay.
Wow.
And full kit. And as you do, took a couple of photos of myself, thinking, it was a bit funny. There I am the day after Tour of Flanders. And I got, I wouldn't say a lot of messages, but certainly over 20 on Instagram questioning me riding in a pro team kit.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was done. I thought we were well beyond this, but clearly it's still a thing for a few people. Look, now to be fair, most people were getting in contact saying, "Oh, awesome to see you riding the pro team kit. I wish I had the balls to do that as well," which I kind of thought was funny, in the sense that they were afraid to wear it because people would think they're in the kit or they're in the team, or anyway, I'm not going to go too far down the mentality of it. But I'm a firm believer in pro team kit is perfectly cool. Are you on board with that as well?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it at all. I mean, go for it. I thought it looked sick. Tadej wins RVV and you're in the kit. The only thing is there are rare but examples I have seen where it goes beyond the kit and suddenly it's the matching team bike and the matching shoes and the matching helmet. And you're kind of looking going, are they legitimately involved with the team? And now the examples I can think of, they're not. But they've bought so much of the stuff that they really look like they're trying to trick you into thinking they're on the team. So I think there does cross a barrier where you've taken it too far and you look like you could be on the team, which I'm not a fan of, but just wearing the kit, go for it.
See, this is interesting. All right. I have a slightly different take on this, but I do agree that there are certain circumstances where the pro team kit is not acceptable, or just maybe keep it in the closet on that particular day? All right, here we go. Got a little list for you. All right. So the first one is, for me, the World Champs kit or the National Kit jersey is off limits. Agree or disagree?
I disagree.
Interesting. So you're happy?
Yeah, I'd love to rock the World Champs jersey.
So you'd run a Plappy Ineos Aussie Champs kit?
No, this is going to sound so arrogant. I probably wouldn't, because I'm quite good. So it's kind of...
No, that's fair.
But if you're like if you're clearly not the Australian champion and you're just a full punter, I don't have a problem with it. See, that's going to sound so bad.
No. I think that's totally fair.
Okay.
I mean, you raced the race with him this year.
Yeah.
I totally hear that. And this is why I wanted to bring this up, because the waters are a little muddy. They are a little muddy. I personally, I mean, I'm not at that level, but my mentality is not that I would be seen as there. It's more that Plappy's earned that jersey, and do you know what I mean? And therefore, it's not for me to run. Maybe that's my mentality.
Maybe wearing the Australian champs in Australia, possibly. But if you just wanted to rock Remco's World Champs kit, go for it. I just don't. It's so far removed.
Yeah.
It's not even.
Actually, that's a fair point. I would consider running the full Remco kit. Yeah, actually, or I'd love to have run like the Alejandro Valverde past kit like that. Big fan of his Movistar kit when he ran it. Yeah, all right. So maybe sort of a little bit GCN on the fence with that one. Yeah, sorry. What about this? For me, it's full kit or nothing. So this is a bit against you, right? So it's full kit. So I had the jersey and the bibs. I didn't have the socks, but it's upstairs, downstairs. It's not mismatching. So I don't want to see Liquigas shorts and a Lotto jersey, that type of thing. I'll allow just a plain bib short, like a black bib short or something like that with the jersey, but not mismatching teams.
Not mismatching. Yeah, I was going to say, because sometimes, because bib shorts are more expensive than jerseys usually. So if you're just buying a team jersey, you're going to have to run mismatch. But yeah, if it's a plain black and a team jersey, I'm all for that.
I do disagree with you that I would love a full UAE winter kit, like the full tights.
Oh.
Or like a full Alpecin, winter jersey, all the rest of it. The bike starts to get a little bit frosty for me. I think that's potentially the threshold. But yeah, I'm allowing that. The other one was when you wear it. Okay, so training rides, all good, blah, blah, blah. I do feel like there's a couple of events where the pro team kit is potentially a little bit unacceptable, like maybe at national championships. You can't just pull out the UAE kit and stand next to Jay and say, you're riding for me today. But things like a local crit, yes or no?
Yep.
Yeah? I'm allowing that.
Yeah. Yep.
Snowy Classic?
Yep. Anything where the pros aren't there, I'm for it.
Yep.
But if you're at the Tour Down Under in the days before the event or even during the event, that's where potentially... I'm still for it. Yeah, I'm still for it. But I could see someone being like, well, don't wear pro kit when the pros are here.
Yes.
It's a bit...
I'm not allowing it, but yeah, I would question it at Tour Down Under. The crit thing's interesting. I kind of find would it have been funny if I was wearing the UAE kit at some of those Heffrons and Lockie Morton's there and Caleb's there, and they're like, okay, what's the story with this guy over here? I kind of feel like there's potentially a bit, but that'd be awkwardness for me.
It wouldn't even be awkward. It would just be a laugh, wouldn't it?
Do you reckon? Yeah. See, I do think it'd be kind of funny.
I mean, the funny thing is you couldn't even do that because if it's not a registered state club kit, you have to wear plain black kit. So technically, you can't wear a fun jersey because it's against the rules, they say. So
last question on this. If you're going to go buy a pro team kit, are you going to buy it because you think the kit looks good, they're your favourite team, or they have your favourite rider?
All of the above.
Okay.
I could imagine all of those reasons. The only thing if I was buying the kit, I would say buy it from the brand that makes it. Buying a fake
100%.
kit when you're trying to support a team, I think is a no-go. Like if you want to support the team, if you want to support UAE, buy it from Pissy or whatever it is, because they're sponsoring the team. So you're better off just putting your money there. Don't buy an AliExpress Ineos jersey. It's just not cool. Buy the Bio Racer one. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm not sure all the brands do. Well, maybe they do. I need to double
Well, that's
check
on them.
that.
If they don't do it, they're missing a buck and
Yeah.
everyone's running the AliExpress version.
Yeah,
They
big
should
time.
put a bit of pressure on them. Yeah.
All right. What do you think of our yes or no on the protein kits? Let us know down below, guys. Looking forward to seeing the results. Right, we're in the deep and meaningful section of the pod, Jesse. This is the stuff we throw at the very end.
We lower the voices, coming a bit closer.
coming a bit
Let's
closer.
go.
We do get a comment quite a bit from people saying something along the lines of, you guys really motivated me to get out on the bike. You guys have inspired me to go and race, etc., which is just amazing to read. It's literally keeps me and you motivated to do this a lot of the time. But it got me thinking a bit about what actually motivates me to do my bike riding. I feel like it's not one thing. It's definitely not one thing. Have you got some thoughts on your own motivation before I get into it?
I'm really event or race focused. I'm kind of like, my year is basically just events, and then I'm just like swinging a rope in between them. And so, yeah, at any given point in time, if I'm not 6 or 8 weeks out from an event, which is clearly motivating, then all I'm thinking about is riding to not lose too much fitness so I can then start prepping for the next event. So I'm very much event focused, fitness focused too, just because I don't want to lose too much fitness. And I'm pretty basic in that regard. The only thing is, and my wife will tell you this, if I don't ride, I just, I don't know. It's just not like I just have too much energy, and just riding keeps me, I've just done sport for so long. I need just to have that outlet, and it just keeps my mood high. And even if it's just 45 minutes to an hour, and I still have my rest days, I'll still have 2-3 days off a week if I'm not specifically training for something, but I need to keep riding. I can't even explain. Can't explain. I'm just a mess if I don't exercise.
So some of the topics we talk about here, we write things down. This is not one we've written things down on. And I'm annoyed you just said that because, yeah, okay, let me explain. I've thought a bit about this, and I wanted my answer to be, I just love cycling. I just love being in the outdoors. I love all the aspects of it. I love training and fitness. I actually think the more I thought about it, the actual motivation becomes the person that I don't want to be when I don't ride. I hate that Chris. Like he's a shit to be around. Like, yeah, I'll do rest days and stuff like that, but Elizabeth's the same. She's like, go for a fucking bike ride, Chris. Like, you're annoying. And I don't like that person. So a lot of the time, my rationale to go out on my bike is actually to avoid being that person. I know that's not great, an answer. Like, people will be like, you've got a problem. Yep, I know I've got a problem. It's not something I'm super proud of. Though I did think a little bit as well, and I do use things like, for example, I will watch the Tour of Flanders and be inspired then to go, I'm going to go ride my bike this afternoon because that looked cool. Like, yep, that definitely is a thing. I've used that as motivation in the past. I use like a training program. I definitely use a training program as motivation because it just gets me over that hump. Less and less is the social aspect. Again, people probably won't like me saying that, but it just forms less of the part of my riding because maybe it comes back to that addiction thing that I just don't want to be shitty Chris when I get home.
I was going to say, in terms of, I agree in terms of what riding is for me, like why do I ride? I agree in terms of the social aspect. For me, that's not a reason to get on the bike. And for a lot of people, that is. They do the Saturday morning ride and they're doing the Tuesday morning ride. It's a social thing. For me, it's not at all. I'd happily go for a month and not ride with anyone and I'd still be just as motivated. So that the social aspect isn't really it for me. I guess I'm kind of someone that just almost as if they're just going to the gym. You rock up, you do your session, you go home. It's not a social outing.
We've mentioned this in the past, but like cycling is a sport for me. It's not a hobby. I need the competitive aspect, and that might even be just a pace line. Like I really fall into this. It's not a trap. I actually quite enjoy it. That after I've done an event, I will tend that I've trained for and want to do well at. I will fall into this routine of doing like the Sydney Spec training program, which is just like do a couple of pace lines a week and maybe a crit, and it's just pure adrenaline, competitive buzzers, like matching yourself against others. That's literally a motivation for me for weeks after a training block, definitely.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched anything on YouTube or anything like that and gone, shit, yeah, I'm going to get out on the bike?
Nothing really comes to mind. Strava, I use Strava a lot. I'm a big Strava. I have a big ego. Like I like to think I'm quite humble, but like I have a big ego for riding and a lot of what you'd probably call like self-efficacy. Like I really think I can do a lot of things. I try not to be cocky, but I have a lot of confidence in myself. And I think that's another aspect that plays into it. That I'm riding because I'm not going to lose all my fitness and I'm going to be freaking good at the next event. And that's just, okay, I'm going to not take too many days off.
Yeah, just on the content thing. Like I'm the same. I rarely watch something and go, yeah, shit, that's inspired me to get out on the bike. But clearly it does. And so we're going to make a video from the Snowy Classic. Mm-hmm. And I want to set that as the challenge for us when we make that video to be, okay, well, this is the idea of doing this video is to inspire people to not just do that event, but do an event. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, oh, shit, that'd be cool. Love to do that. So that's a challenge on us.
Actually, I will say, not that watching a pro race motivates me to get out, but I do use visualization. Like, for example, when I'm if I'm doing a training effort, I will literally visualize like I'm in the Tour de France riding up a climb. Or if I'm doing an effort on the flat, I will, like in my head, almost visualize I'm in a race in Belgium on a flat stretch of road, rolling turns, chopping off. So the visualization aspect helps me get training done. I definitely use that. It's probably not like getting me on the bike per se.
Yeah. That's why the reality shock of watching myself on your wheel the other week was just like, because I'm visualizing myself as like climbing the Alps, like at the front of the tour with, because that's what you're doing in your brain. And then like you see the actual reality of that and you're like, oh God. Were you happy with that? Yeah, I was kind of happy with that. So let us know down below, guys, motivation for riding. Be honest. Like I feel like a lot of us like to think we're doing it for wondrous reasons, but maybe it is just ego that's getting us out there. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you are listening to us on a podcast player, make sure to leave us a review. And if you're on YouTube, whack the like button. We will see you next week.